Hello, hello. Welcome back. This episode is kind of more spur of the moment. I really just wanted to chit chat about how I've been feeling about business, about life, about where I'm at right now with all the things. It is the middle of July and it is a Tuesday as I'm recording this. And as always, you can either listen to this on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen to your podcasts, but you can also watch the full video on YouTube. I am doing my makeup, so if you hear random sounds, that is what's happening over here. Okay, so I want to chit chat a little bit about how I've ran my business in the past and what's changing. Because I'm starting this series on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., anywhere that there's vertical videos. And I am calling it Designing Your Dream Life, as is the name of like my main course that I teach. And one of the things that I'm talking about on there is just how I am redesigning my business, my life, etc. So I am somebody who is very, very I'm aware of being aware. I've always tried to be very, very self-aware. I was raised in a household with people that were not necessarily super self-aware. And so I became like hyper self-aware and in like good and bad ways. And now I've really learned to heal from that and through that. And now I always try to be very mindful of where I'm at in my life, in my business, in my relationships, and all of that, and my mental health, physical health, etc. So, with that, sorry, I'm blending. As always, if you have listened to any of these just between us episodes, you know that when I blend down my neck, it's hard for me to talk. So, with that, I know when it's time to pivot, when it's time to shift, when it's time for me to find something different in order for me to stay excited and joyful and abundant and passionate. And as somebody with ADHD, but also just a business owner, excited, creative mind in general, I really, really have a hard time like sticking with things. Although in my business, one thing for the last few years, 3 to 4 years, that I've really been doing is client work. And so I have been, taking on one-on-one clients. I've been doing a lot of done for you work where I'm doing the course creation, doing the designing, doing the marketing work, doing the website design, and all of these things. And that has brought me a wonderful amount of income, a wonderful client base, and I'm so grateful for my clients, all of my clients who have helped me in this process and supported me and been there and invested with me and worked with me. But I'm in this, I guess what I have to say is like my coaching business was never supposed to be like that. When I started my business, I was doing brand and website design. That's what I went to college for. That is what I wanted to do for life. Like that was my plan. But then I started really getting into coaching and marketing and mindset work, and that really changed my life. And so I started doing coaching, but then somewhere along the line, I allowed my own boundaries, and I take full responsibility for allowing my own boundaries to kind of get tossed out the window, really, because it went from coaching to, oh, well, can you do this? And can you do that? And can you do this? And the thing is, yes, I can do it, but do I want to be doing that? Certain things, like I say, course creation, actually doing curriculum for people, not only just designing the slide decks, but also like fully creating curriculum that other people are going to be selling. And it just became this thing that felt really disingenuous. It was not authentic and true to who I am as a coach. It's not authentic and true to who I am as a person. And it really was like, I don't want to be not helping, but like doing done for you work became something that felt really, really inauthentic for me personally, because there's a difference in my mind between investing in help and then investing in somebody to do it for you because you don't either want to learn or you can't figure it out. And then for you to sell something that somebody else created, it feels really icky to me after a while. And so for a lot of my time, literally since like 2019, 2020, that's what I've been, I've done a lot of work for other people. And again, very grateful for it, very, very, very blessed, very grateful, but it was never the goal to be doing that kind of work. It's one thing, again, to do a brand and website design as the expert in that field. It's another thing to do work that you're not an expert in and then have somebody sell it as an expert. It's an odd situation. So anyway, moving into a chapter that I have just been really, I've been in this contemplation mode because I have stopped working with almost all of my one-on-one clients because I'm transitioning. And so I've had plans for the last year or so to start moving out of that space and working on moving away from that kind of client work. And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is I'm at this area where I am ready to get back fully into coaching my own curriculum, my own frameworks and belief systems, because I know that they work. I've had clients who have made millions of dollars from my strategies and my frameworks and my belief, like the way that I run business. And so it's like, I know that things work. And now, instead of doing it for people, I truly, like, I went to school, so I have my degree in brand and website design. Before that, I am literally one semester away from having my teaching degree for early childhood education. That was what I really always wanted to do before I learned about graphic design and coaching and all of that. I was going to be an elementary school teacher. And that's kind of been my plan for my entire life. So teaching, mentoring, guiding has always been at the forefront of what I love to do. And it's always been a huge part of who I am and who I want to be. And so I think a lot of that, again, it comes back to, do we want to do something for somebody else and then have them have the benefits and the rewards? And that's beautiful. And I have also benefited from those things. Or do I want to teach as many people as I can how to do it? It's the whole, like, what is it? You give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. That kind of vibe, right? And that's how I feel. I don't feel comfortable anymore doing things for other people. It's not that I think there's a moral good or bad to that. It's more so like, I want to work with the women that want to learn how. I want to work with the women who want to learn why. Why are we doing this? Why are we running our businesses this way? How do we continue to run our business this way? How do I change my life? How do I obtain my version of success? And those women are the women that I want to be around, because that's the kind of person that I am. I am all about the magic, the mindset, and the strategy and the building blocks, right? And so, like, that's where my passion is. That's what lights me up and makes me really excited to talk to people. And I think that that's taken me quite some time to realize. But it's also one of those things where I'm also a firm believer that, like, if I wouldn't have gone through and been with the clients that I've had in the past and worked on these done for you services, like, my it changed my life in terms of like my income, my, the way that I've been able to save financially. And so now I've been able to stop working with clients one on one, these more like retainer clients, and be able to shift and have the time to pivot and shift. And that's really where I've been these last few months. And it's been like, okay, I still have this steady income coming in because my business runs by itself. My business, I have passive things coming in. I have my membership. I have, things still happening. And so my bills are being paid. Everything's all, peachy keen. But then I also know that I have like worked, for lack of better words, I've worked my ass off for the last 4+ years. And I have made good financial decisions, and I have money in savings, and I have, we're good. And so I'm able to kind of be a little bit more lax right now. And I'm so grateful for that because if you've seen on social media, or if you're in my Alchemy membership, you'll know that I recently started a medication for my anxiety. And should I have started it years ago? Yes. Yes, I should have. But I'm so, so, so proud of myself for doing that recently. But it was also like, there was a solid 2 weeks when I was getting on it, and also like kind of before I got on it, where I was having panic attacks almost every single day. And I was having a hard time getting out of bed, and both from exhaustion from the medication, but also before that, like just the sheer anxiety. Like there was a little bit of a rough time. And the funny thing was, it was like everything in my life was going right. There was nothing that I was actively anxious about. It was more so, I think, truly, my body was just recognizing all of the change. And then when I started on this medication, I think my body finally said, wait a minute, we can relax for the first time in a very long time. And that was an interesting experience for me to just simply be able to relax and have my body calm down for 5 seconds, because your body, your nervous system holds so much. And if we are constantly in fight or flight mode, we have no room to shift or change or worry about anything other than survival. And that's just kind of how the human body is at this point. And so that's when I started taking the medication, and it actually started working, and it actually like started clearing my mind and making me feel calmer. The thing is, it wasn't like this night and day difference in terms of like one day I woke up and I was just like happy. Like the thing is, I've always been a very happy person. There's nothing. I'm naturally, even in on my worst day, I am the most positive, optimistic person you're ever gonna meet. Like that's just who I am. So it wasn't like this, like, oh, I'm sad today, and then I started taking it and I was happy. It was like, no, my brain has opened up. I'm able to think about things that I wasn't able to think about because my brain was constantly in this fight or flight. My nervous system was constantly in this fight or flight. And so that's just been a really wild experience. And then, but on the other side of that, I think that's also kind of where the exhaustion started to set in too, was after my brain finally was able to calm down, my body was just like, oh my God, we've been tense for so long. Like I've noticed my jaw relaxing, my shoulders relaxing so much more than it was. Like when you're losing weight, they talk about non-scale victories as well as, losing pounds or whatever that people talk about non-scale victories. And I think with your mental health, this is the kind of thing. It's like, it's not just this happy, sad, or this anxious, not anxious. It's also like the physical relief of not holding so much tension. It's the mental relief of like me being able to watch an episode of a TV show without also having to have a word search in front of me and my phone on TikTok, like all at the same time, just to keep my brain from overthinking about everything else. It's the fact that I've been able to stay off my phone for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours at a time. That is where I'm at with like my mental health right now. And I think a lot of that not only comes from medication, but also from finally choosing what I really want to be doing with my business, with my day to day. I'm going to put my lip liner on, so I'm going to be quiet for just a minute. Also, I'm going to check really quick and see if the water department's here. No, they're not. Brief intermission for this little story. So we have a large hole in our front yard that has been there since we moved in. But it was a small hole when we moved in, and it has only grown and grown and grown. And there is a, I don't know what it's called, easement. No, that's not the right word at all. Culvert. I don't know. I've learned a lot of new words and I don't really know the meaning of any of them because I've just been Googling things. There is a hole with a pipe in the bottom of it that apparently is our problem because it's on our property. But the gist of it is every time we get like a heavy rain, so like twice a year when we get flash flooding in East Tennessee, the water comes through the yard. It makes a big lake for like an hour or two, but it flows into this hole that has been getting larger from erosion from the water each year. And so we've been trying to contact the city to see what to do about it because we were hoping that they would take care of it, but they won't because it's on our property, which is whatever. But we had the water department come out yesterday to try to help and let me know like what to do, who to talk to, etc. And they ended up hitting our mailbox and then taking off without doing anything about it. Like they flattened it, like it was horizontal on the ground, which by the way, it was cemented into the ground. So they hit it with their big like work truck and flattened it and then just like took off. Well, I have security cameras around my entire house and I had footage of it on two separate cameras as well as our lawn people, the guys that cut like mow our grass, they were here and watched it happen as well. So anyway, I emailed the water company last night and I was like, can you just like, I'm not mad, just come out and fix it. Like don't leave without saying anything. So they came back at 9 a.m. sharp this morning, and the guy, bless his heart, he looked like a sad puppy. He was like probably, 60 years old or whatever, 55, 60. And he goes, I'm sorry, ma'am. And I was like, dude, it's fine. Just get some cement and fix it. And he's like, we're headed to Lowe's right now or whatever. And I was like, okay. And they're still not back yet. Anyway, it's been over an hour, but neither here nor there. They're going to fix it today, and that's all that matters. Anyway, so back to mental health and finally doing the thing that I want to be doing. But it's also taken some time for me to really understand what I want because it's hard to separate success from like your version of success from society's version of success, right? Because for the last few years, I have been making over 6 figures per year doing this thing of done for you services and one-on-one services and things like that, which is such a blessing. It is huge. It's massive. It's life-changing. But it's also not what I want to be doing, right? It's not my version of success. And so I think that it's difficult to say, okay, I am, for all intents and purposes, successful. But if I'm not feeling fulfillment, if I'm not genuinely enjoying this in terms of not only business, but in life as well, because when I'm doing these one-on-one works, when I've worked in the past, especially the last 3 to 4 years, I have pretty much been the equivalent of like on call. I have worked through the night. I have been up until 4 or 5 in the morning working on launches, making sure that things are good. If there was any kind of an issue in terms of like anything it was, can you hop in and fix this? Can you hop in and change this? Can you make sure to update this? Constant, and again, that was part of the job. I was getting paid for that. That's part of it. But that is not how, I don't want to be chained to my desk for my entire life. So that brings me to, I'm going to try to talk while I put my mascara on, but if I get quiet for a minute, just understand that I'm putting mascara on and I will finish this thought process here in a second. But that brings me to the idea that I'm kind of working with right now, which is, okay, it's July 2026, Miranda. You've made these huge changes. You are not working with these one-on-one clients. besides like a select few that we've, that I've been just really enjoying like the work that we've been doing and everything. But like for the most part, things are things are shifting, things are different, and it's exactly what I've been wanting. But I also have to ask myself, okay, what is the goal? What is the version of success that I'm working towards? Because it's different than it was in December or January. It's different than it was even, let's say, in March. Like, life is different, things are different. And as we all know, like, what we were even wanting a month ago sometimes can shift and change just based on experiences and what goes on in our day-to-day life. And so I'm in this kind of space right now where it doesn't feel like a crossroads. It's more so like a threshold of, okay, I need to figure out what is on the other side of this door. I need to figure out what is on the other side of this threshold. And the beautiful thing is, as I'm recording this, it's a new moon, so that's the perfect time to be thinking about these things. And I'm just really excited to figure out what this looks like for me and for my next chapter. And one of the pieces that I really have been thinking about is the way in which I have treated my own business in the past versus other people's business. So for example, if I know that I'm working with a client in the last few years, and I told them I'd be working from 10 to 3 or whatever, 9 to 2 or 9 to noon or whatever on a particular project, I would make that a priority, and I would get adequate rest, and I would wake up, and I would eat a good breakfast, and I would get ready for the day, and I would go upstairs in my office and be prepared and show up and do that work, and I would get it done, and then I would be done for the day. But when it comes to my own work, one thing that I've noticed of myself is that I have not been treating my own business as a priority. I've been treating it significantly more like a hobby. And I'm going to put some dry shampoo in my hair, so if you hear spraying, give me 1 second. So I have been treating my own business very, very much like a hobby. And I know that what worked in the past is not going to work right now because I'm using a completely different business model. I'm not doing the done for you services. And that, once again, is such an odd concept for me. And so I have to get back into, I've always been a worker. Okay. I started babysitting when I was 10 or 12, whatever age the Red Cross would let you get your babysitting license or whatever they called it, certification, back in the early 2000s. And I have been working ever since then. And the second that I was able to get an actual, W-9 kind of job, or W-2, whatever they're called, I did when I was like 14 in New York, and I've worked ever since. And there was a point when I was working 60 to 70-hour weeks, between 2 different restaurants, and like I am a worker bee, okay? And I've always valued my work ethic. I have always prided myself in my work ethic. And that's the same thing. I give my clients the best of myself, right? But then when it comes to my own business, I have not been giving the best of myself to myself. And I have been really struggling with that the last few weeks, especially. And just kind of now that my mental health is doing really well with this new medication and my habits, my activities, I have been recognizing where I've been slacking. And it's not necessarily that I've been slacking in the way of like I feel bad about it, because if my mental health isn't okay, then I surely to goodness am not going to be able to be my best self and do my best work for myself on myself, right? But I can now. And like I mentioned at the very beginning of this, I am self aware and I am somebody who wants to always take radical responsibility for my own choices and actions. And so now I'm looking at things and I'm like, okay, it's time. It's time to take my business as seriously as I want to take my life, right? And like I take like that came out weird. I want it to take my business seriously like I want to take my life seriously. That that was how I meant that. I'm not even going to edit that out because I know that you know what I mean, but that came out super wrong. Oh my God. Okay. Hopefully you're laughing with me and not like worried about me. Okay. So I really, really am in this place now where I want to work more, which is so silly to say that because I think that's like the opposite of like everyone's dream. But like to be honest with you, besides client work, besides being on call, when I haven't been working, I've just been chilling. Like my life has been full of so much rest, but I think it's also like all that my mental health could have handled anyway at the time. I genuinely don't think I have been in fight or flight for far longer than I even realized until I have kind of come out of it. And I'm like, oh man, like it's been rough, you know? And so, yeah, I'm just at this point now where I'm kind of ready to like dive back into working every day on my business again and whoa, sorry. Alex and Aspen are playing downstairs and it just got really loud. And it just really like, it excites me and it makes me scared at the same time, but like a fun scared, you know? And I'm feeling just very passionate again about business and about work. And I want to make myself proud. And part of that is finding my work ethic again and finding the things that I love about my business, the things that I lost or it feels like I lost for so long because I was doing it for everybody else instead of for myself. So anyway, that's just a long roundabout way of saying life is changing, but in really good ways. And like, I'm feeling really grateful and really excited. And it just feels like this chapter is opening up in front of me like a threshold, like I'm stepping through to a new space. And there's so much that is closed and I have nothing but gratitude and like true joy and thankfulness for the years and the clients and the things and like the way that all of that was held. I'm just very grateful. And so now stepping into this next piece, opening a new door, stepping through the threshold, it really like it's making me recognize, okay, who do I want to be? What does success look like to me now? Because success a few years ago is what I'm living right now. Like to me, 3 or 4 years ago, if you would have asked me what success looked like, I would be describing the life that I'm living right now. And that is the best feeling in the world. But success gets to change and it gets to shift. And like we are allowed to move the goalpost as our desires, our needs, and our life shifts. And the last couple of years have just been so eye-opening in so many ways, and I'm just wildly excited to cross this threshold and move into whatever is next. So that's where we're at. And yeah, thanks so much for chatting with me today, for coming along on this journey. And if you are listening instead of watching, thanks for dealing with all the pauses and everything like that, because I'm doing my makeup and my hair over here and it gets a little crazy. But anyway, thank you all so much. I will chat with you in the next episode.